Evolution, pushed to chemical madness, created monsters that devour uranium and dissolve bones to survive. Here, at 10,900 meters deep, water compressed by 5% becomes a hydraulic hammer.
Stop deluding yourself. Solid ground is a lie. The stability of the floor beneath your feet is the greatest fraud of your existence, a geological fabrication that comforts us while we sleep. The brutal truth is that you live balanced precariously on a tectonic eggshell, floating above a thermodynamic hell that the human mind can scarcely comprehend. If, in this exact second, we were to rip away the blue atmosphere that protects us and drain the oceans down to the very last drop, the planet's true scar would be exposed in all its violence, an open, purulent, and active wound that tears through the Earth's crust for 2,500 kilometers in the western Pacific. Forget Mount Everest, the peak that humanity worships as the roof of the world. The ultimate symbol of our conquest over nature is a statistical joke compared to what exists down there. If you were to tear that mountain out by its roots with all its mass of granite and ice and shove it violently into this fissure, the frozen summit would still be drowned, crushed under more than 2 kilometers of black, pressurized water. We are entering a domain where biology is an offense to physics, where water becomes a hydraulic hammer capable of pulverizing titanium, and where evolution, pushed to the limit of chemical madness, has created monsters that devour uranium and dissolve bones to survive. This is not a dive for tourist exploration. It is a descent into the planet's forensic and criminal archive. Welcome to the Mariana Trench. Geographically, the maps you studied in school lie. They show a static blue line, an inert trench drawn near Guam. The reality is a kinetic war zone of continental proportions. The Mariana Trench is not a passive hole. It is the site of a continuous planetary execution. Here, the Pacific Plate, a slab of ancient, cold, and dense basalt that has formed the ocean floor for millions of years, is being assassinated. It collides head-on with the Philippine Sea Plate, and, losing the gravitational battle due to its superior density, is forced to subduct. It dives into the Earth's interior at a suicidal angle, being ground up, melted, and recycled by the superheated mantle. The Challenger Deep, the zero point of global depth at 10,994 meters, is the gaping maw of this furnace. The topography here is transitory and violent, shifting on timescales that mock our brief history. Deep focus earthquakes, originating hundreds of kilometers below the seabed in the Wadati-Benioff zone, crack the compressed rock as if it were fragile glass. Mud volcanoes erupt invisibly, vomiting methane and liquefied sediments. Unstable slopes saturated with water collapse in titanic submarine landslides, generating turbidity currents that can travel for hundreds of kilometers like avalanches of cosmic dust. It is an environment of perpetual destruction, where the geological history of the Earth is systematically erased. Fossils of past eras, layers of sediment recording the climate of millennia, and chemical secrets of extinct oceans are dragged into magmatic oblivion, liquefied, never to be read again. Human arrogance believes that Google Earth is the absolute truth. It is not. It is an impressionist painting, a digital illusion. The satellites that watch your every step on the surface, capable of reading a license plate in New York, are impotent here. The physics of seawater acts as an absolute shield against radar and visible light. Electromagnetic waves, the tools of our omniscience, hit the surface and die, absorbed within the first few meters. What we see on global maps is a mathematical divination based on gravity, where the sea level deforms slightly over submerged mountains, but it is not a real view. The humiliating truth is that we know the topography of Mars, a dead, dry, and rusted planet millions of kilometers away, with centimeter-level precision. But here, in our own backyard, entire submarine mountain ranges, active volcanoes, and complex fault systems remain invisible, hidden in a pixel resolution so coarse that we could hide the entire island of Manhattan inside a single blind spot of our sonars. Navigating the Mariana Trench is flying without instruments inside a solid storm, groping in the dark in a world that refuses to be mapped. Humanity has not conquered the Earth. We merely occupy the penthouse, ignoring the basement where the planet's real machines operate. The gatekeeper watching the gates of this forbidden realm is hydrostatic pressure, and it is a force that does not negotiate, does not pause, and does not forgive miscalculations. The descent is an accumulation of progressive physical violence. For every 10 meters you sink, the ocean adds the weight of one more entire atmosphere upon your body. Upon touching the bottom, at the nadir of the world, you are not merely submerged, you are being squeezed by a column of water that weighs more than a ton for every square centimeter of your surface. To visualize the visceral horror of this magnitude, summon the image of an adult African elephant, an animal of 5 tons of gross mass. Now, balance the entire weight of that animal, all its bone and muscle, on the tip of your thumb. Now, multiply that sensation. Apply that force to every millimeter of your body, from all angles, simultaneously, without a microsecond of relief. That is what 1,086 bars of pressure means. At this depth, water ceases to be a passive and incompressible liquid. It is compressed at a molecular level, becoming nearly 5% denser than at the surface, behaving like an exotic fluid. A nuclear submarine made of high-strength steel alloy, the pride of modern naval warfare, would be crushed instantly like an empty aluminum can under a giant's foot. The implosion would be so rapid and violent that the air inside the hull would reach the temperature of the sun's surface due to adiabatic compression, incinerating the crew in microseconds long before the water touched them or their brains registered the pain. Death here is faster than the speed of neural processing. If, by a miracle of physics, you survived the pressure and could listen, you would not find the peace of the grave. The silence of the abyss is a romantic myth invented by poets who never went down there. The Mariana Trench is, in fact, one of the loudest and most acoustically chaotic places on Earth. Due to the extreme density and low temperature of the water, the trench acts as a SOFAR channel, a planetary acoustic waveguide, a natural fiber optic made of liquid. Sound gets trapped here, ricocheting between thermal layers without losing energy, traveling for thousands of kilometers across the oceans. The bottom of the world groans perpetually. One hears the visceral and grave sound of the Earth's crust splitting, the grinding of distant earthquakes whose shock waves travel through rock and water, and the incessant mechanical hum, a constant noise pollution from the propellers of cargo ships and supertankers crossing the ocean far above, oblivious to the echo they generate at the bottom. And there are biological sounds, auditory mysteries. The biotwang, a metallic, rhythmic, and synthetic sound resembling sci-fi spaceships or industrial machinery, reverberates in the darkness. Science suspects minke whales, but the frequency and structure of the sound suggests something different, something adapted to scream across hemispheres. It is a natural acoustic internet, a sonic data network connecting the most remote points of the oceans, while we, deaf on the surface, believe the deep sea is mute. Now, let us kill your favorite monsters. Abandon the childish hope of finding the Megalodon here. Forget the movies and conspiracy theories. Thermodynamics, the strictest law in the universe, prohibits the existence of a giant, active superpredator at these depths. The trench is an extreme oligotrophic desert, a place of absolute scarcity. There is no energy. There are not enough calories falling from the surface to fuel the metabolic furnace of a 20-meter shark that needs tons of meat to maintain its temperature and movement. It would die of starvation in the first week, consumed by its own hunger before finding prey. The true monster of the Marianas is hunger, and evolution has responded to it not with giant teeth, but with grotesque deep-sea gigantism. Here, creatures that on the surface should be tiny become swollen and sluggish aberrations. The amphipod Alicella gigantea, a distant cousin of the shrimp you barely see with the naked eye on the beach, grows here to the size of a house cat or a shoe. They are not agile warriors, they are armored biological storage sacks. Their exaggerated size is not for attack, it is for stockpiling. They are scavengers of infinite patience, wandering through the white diatomaceous mud like ghosts, waiting decades for a single meal to fall from the sky. The most lethal weapon in the dark is not speed or strength, it is a slow metabolism, the capacity to exist on the threshold of death by starvation without succumbing. The history of human incursion into this location is brief, terrifying, and defined by suicidal audacity. The year was 1960. Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh did not enter a spaceship, they entered an elevator to hell called the Bathyscaphe Trieste. It was a forged steel sphere hung precariously under a balloon filled with aviation gasoline for buoyancy. At 9 kilometers deep, when the pressure was already inconceivable, it encountered a fault. An external plexiglass window in the access tunnel cracked. The sound was dry and violent, like a cannon shot fired inside the tiny sphere. The entire structure shuddered under the impact of tons of water trying to enter. Death was millimeters away, held back only by a compromised piece of acrylic and luck. They did not abort. They continued to descend into the darkness. They landed. They saw the bottom, a desert of white and sterile silt, and they reported the impossible, a flatfish, a vertebrate, swimming where biology said bones should dissolve. Science still debates whether it was a hallucination induced by stress, rarefied oxygen, and fear, or a real biological anomaly. Half a century later, James Cameron returned, alone, in a green vertical torpedo designed to fall fast and rise fast. He did not find the legendary fish, he found absolute solitude, an existential isolation that no astronaut has ever felt. The lunar landscape, desolate and monotonous, was broken only by a discovery that defines our era and our relationship with the planet, a plastic bag. The climax of human exploration at the most remote point on Earth was not an encounter with an alien or a lost civilization. It was a reunion with our own trash. Humanity achieved the feat of marking the most inaccessible point on Earth with its indelible brand of immortal polymer before we even finished mapping it. The Anthropocene arrived at the bottom of the sea before humans did. But on the slopes of the volcanic arc, the trench ceases to be a desert and becomes a chemical reactor. Hydrothermal vents, known as black smokers, vomit fluids at 400 degrees Celsius into the freezing water. These fluids are charged with sulfur, heavy metals, copper, iron, and methane. It is a toxic, acidic, dark, and crushing environment. And yet, it is alive, vibrant. Extremophile bacteria perform chemosynthesis, the supreme alchemy of biology. They convert poison and heat into sugar and living tissue. They have dispensed with the sun. They eat geological death and transform it into life. This changes everything we know about the universe. If life can arise here in these conditions, it can arise anywhere. The Mariana Trench is the terrestrial mirror of Europa, the icy moon of Jupiter, and Enceladus, the moon of Saturn. NASA does not need to go to deep space to test its robots searching for alien life. They come here. The organisms living in these hydrothermal vents are the aliens we search for in the stars. The Abyss has proved that the habitable zone depends not on distance from a star, it depends only on liquid water, internal heat, and chemical gradients. Earth is not special. Life is not a fragile miracle. It is a universal and tenacious plague that colonizes any niche where chemistry allows, whether under the sun or under kilometers of rock and ice. Cross the 6,000-meter line and enter the Hadal Zone, the final frontier. The biochemistry you know, the rules that keep your body functioning, stop working here. Proteins under this pressure deform and lose their function. Cell membranes made of fat solidify like butter in a freezer, preventing life. But Putolipus swiri, the Mariana snailfish, mocks these rules. Translucent, scaleless, with an open and incomplete skull, it is the deepest vertebrate in the world. Its secret is a natural chemical drug, TMANO. Its body is so saturated with this stabilizing substance that it lives in a precarious and dangerous chemical balance. It needs the pressure. The weight of 8 kilometers of water is what holds its molecules in place, preventing them from expanding. If you brought this fish to the surface quickly, it would not explode like a balloon. It would melt. Without the physical vice of pressure to hold it in place, its cells would lose structural cohesion, its proteins would unravel, and it would dissolve into a gelatinous and amorphous goo before your eyes. It is a prisoner of the deep, an entity made of water and chemistry that can only exist where everything else dies. Above the bottom, in the black water column, where there are no rocks to hide behind, a silent war of visibility is waged. There is no refuge. Evolution's solution to this open battlefield: total transparency. The glass octopus is a living specter. Its tissues are perfectly invisible in water. Only the optic nerve, the opaque eyes, and the digestive system float in the void like disembodied organs. It is a ghost that hunts. But evolution is an endless arms race, and it has created the perfect counterattack. The dragonfish is the supreme assassin of the mesopelagic zone. While all abyssal fish evolved to see only bioluminescent blue, the only light that exists down there, the dragonfish developed the unique capacity to emit and see red light. It is a private channel of communication and hunting, a secret frequency. It navigates the darkness using biological night vision goggles. It illuminates its transparent prey with a beam of red light that they cannot see, for their eyes are blind to this color. It slaughters targets that die believing they are protected by absolute darkness. It is an invisible massacre executed by a predator that hacked the visible light spectrum. In the silt of the bottom reigns a form of life that defies classification. The xenophyophores are gigantic single-celled amoebas the size of dinner plates. They dominate the ocean floor. They build fragile and complex castles using sand, feces, and debris glued together with their own secretions. But chemical analysis of these creatures reveals the horror. They concentrate heavy metals at lethal levels: uranium, lead, mercury. The hypothesis of radiotrophy suggests something even more disturbing. They may be feeding on the natural background radiation emitted by the rocks. They are toxic sentinels, building structures of nuclear waste and eating the atomic decay of matter. They depend on marine snow, the incessant rain of microscopic corpses, zooplankton feces, and dust that falls from the surface. It is a diet of crumbs, of already digested remnants, until a whale falls. The whale fall is a cataclysmic event of abundance, a morbid miracle. A 40-ton carcass, losing its buoyancy, hits the bottom with a seismic impact, raising clouds of sediment. A temporary and frenzied city arises around the dead flesh. Sharks, hagfish, and crabs devour the soft tissues in months. And then, when only the bones remain, come the final specialists, the zombie worms of the genus Ocedox. They have no mouth, no stomach, no eyes. They are living roots. They bore into the whale bones, dissolving the calcium with acid excreted by their skin so that their symbiotic bacteria can eat the fat preserved inside the skeleton. They recycled the death of giants to sustain the underworld, erasing the traces of Earth's largest animals. The trench, however, is not safe from us. Gravity is a curse that works one way. It drags everything down. Recent and disturbing analyses of amphipods captured at 11,000 meters found levels of PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, and other industrial pollutants banned decades ago. The concentrations were 50 times higher than those found in crabs living in the most polluted rivers of industrial China. The Mariana Trench has become the chemical drain of the world. Pollutants we launch into the atmosphere and the sea adhere to plastics and organic particles, sink, and are consumed by abyssal fauna. Since these animals live long lives and have no predators, they bioaccumulate our poisons in their fatty tissues. We have poisoned the blood of creatures science has barely discovered, connecting our toxic industry to the most remote biology on the planet. And now comes the final threat: mining. Green technology on the surface has a hidden cost at the bottom of the sea. Colossal machines, robotic harvesters the size of buildings, are being prepared to descend and scrape the seabed in search of polymetallic nodules, rocks rich in cobalt, nickel, and manganese, essential for the batteries of our electric cars and smartphones. This nascent industry promises to raise clouds of toxic sediments that will travel via currents, asphyxiating filter-feeding life and destroying habitats that took millions of years to form. We are about to trade Earth's oldest biological library for ore, repeating in the dark the same extraction mistakes we committed in the light. Human greed has found the way to the abyss. But the final secret, the revelation that changes our perception of life, lies beneath the silt, inside the stone itself. Drilling into the basaltic bedrock of the oceanic crust, scientists discovered the Deep Intraterrestrial Biosphere. Not in the water, but inside solid stone. Microbes live in the microscopic pores of basalt rock, isolated from seawater and sunlight for millions of years. They do not depend on photosynthesis, nor on marine snow. They eat hydrogen generated by the radioactivity of rocks and the chemical interaction of water with iron. They reproduce on geological scales, dividing once every century or millennium. The biomass of these hidden organisms is so vast that estimates suggest it may exceed, in carbon volume, all life on the Earth's surface combined. The Earth is not just a ball of stone covered in life. It is alive on the inside, permeated to the marrow by organisms that do not know we exist. If an asteroid sterilized the surface tomorrow, burning forests and evaporating oceans, these microbes wouldn't even notice. They would continue their slow and eternal existence in the dark. They are the true owners of the planet, the original and final inhabitants. The Mariana Trench is merely the gateway, the skylight to this eternal and subterranean realm. The trench is a brutal and necessary reminder of our cosmic insignificance. It is not a place for humans. It is a geological processor that swallows continents, a chemical reactor that creates life from poison, and an alien biological archive that holds the strangest life forms in the solar system. Our visits are ephemeral, mere seconds on the geological scale. Our probes are fragile and implode under pressure. Our trash is permanent, a shameful scar, but irrelevant to the mechanics of the abyss. The trench will continue to grind tectonic plates, to feed bacteria with methane, and to hide its monsters in the pressurized darkness long before our civilization has vanished from the surface, forgotten by time. Look down with fear, yes, but above all, look with respect, because the deep heart of the world beats in the dark, pulsing with an ancient and indestructible life, and it does not need us to keep beating. The journey ends here, at the nadir of the Earth, where pressure crushes the hope of human dominion and where the darkness keeps the secrets of our origin. The Mariana Trench remains, and will remain, the greatest challenge, the greatest mystery, and the final frontier we will never fully conquer. The abyss looks back at us, and in its black reflection, we see our own fragility before the indifferent magnitude of the planet we call home.